Yo, what's happening? Okay, so I'm really excited about this one. We're going to be creating a fully automatic assault rifle. We're going to be looking at a line trace system for our assault rifle. We're going to set up some particle systems on our assault rifle as well. And we're going to use that line trace system to tell us which material we've impacted or physical material we've impacted, and therefore play as a different surface impact sound. Okay, so let's get started. Let's first create our particle system. Our projectile rather. So let's create an actor blueprint and call this assault rifle projectile. Okay, we open it up and come over to the components tab. The first thing we want to do is we want to add in a particle movement actor, okay, or component. The next thing we want to do is we want to select the root and we want to come over and select a particle system, okay. So the particle system is going to be called Assault Rifle Tracer. And I'm also going to come down to our Particles tab and then select Assault Rifle Tracer. Okay. Excellent. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a collision for this projectile as well. So if we just come down here and select Capsule and call this Tracer Collision. I want to rotate it because it's not quite over the tracer. So I'm just going to extend the height slightly and bring in the radius again. Doesn't need to be perfect because it's moving so fast. Okay, so that's kind of done. Okay, so if we come over to the graph, now when this collision capsule hits something, we're going to just simply destroy this actor. Okay, you could add some impulse here as well, and before you destroy the actor, impulse that location, like the projectile that you have with the Unreal Engine. But I'm not going to bother with this. I'm just going to save it. Okay, so now that's done, we can then go and set this weapon up. So there's a couple of schools of thought here. You could set it up in the a separate assault rifle blueprint, and I think we actually did that in a previous tutorial. Let's just say, yeah. So I've actually deleted it out of here, but we had a simple shoot and like print a string to the screen, and that was it. But to set up a fully automatic weapon, we're going to need to set this up in the ASP character blueprint that we've been working in. I'll describe why that's important in a second. So let's first create an input for our player. So let's right click and go left mouse. Now I want to create a couple of custom events here, and this is important for our fully automatic weapon. So I'm going to create a custom event. I'm going to call this assault rifle fire, and then another one called assault rifle stopped. Okay, so I'm just going to drag them over to the side for a second, and then when we press the left mouse button, we're going to call that assault rifle fire. Okay. Now this might seem a bit mad because they're really close to each other, these events, but you'll see why in a second. Assault rifle stopped. Okay, so the reason why I've done it like this is because I'm working with timers. Okay, so when we press the left mouse button down, we want to repeatedly fire off projectiles or tell the system to keep firing, keep firing, keep firing. Okay, so we can't do that if we're just holding the left mouse button down because we've only put an input action once. Okay, so as we're holding it down, we need to repeatedly give it an input. So the one way we can do this is by setting a timer. So if we set a timer, and then I'll just get into this real quick. So don't need to worry about object just for now, but it's calling for a function name. So which function are we going to be recalling repeatedly? So let's create a function and call this fully I'm just going to do it with no spaces. Okay, so we've created a function called fully automatic assault rifle. It's put some spaces in there, which can be a little bit confusing. So if you copy that, it will copy the spaces. If I was to paste that in here, it wouldn't work because I've got spaces in. So it's just something to watch out for. You do actually need to type it as you initially typed it. Okay, that can be a bit annoying, but yeah, just something to watch out for. Okay, so the time interval is the time or the space or the pause in between each time a bullet is going to be fired. So this is going to be really quick. So I'm going to go 0.1 of a second, and we want it to be looping as well because we're only giving it one input action when we press the left mouse button down. And when we release the mouse button, we want to clear this timer. We'll reset it. So clear timer. And the timer that we're going to clear is going to be this. So again, that goes in the function name there. Excellent. Right. So we've got a little system set up. Now we can do our work for our assault rifle in here. Okay, so I'm going to set this up kind of logically in sort of a time-based sort of logic. So in the sense that when I pull the trigger, the muzzle flash is going to go off, the projectile is going to fly out of the weapon, I'm going to get some kickback, so we're going to need to play an animation, and then we're going to do the line trace system afterwards. So that's kind of how I'm going to set this up. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get the socket name muzzle flash from the weapon. So that is going to be the origin of our projectile and obviously a flash as well that we're going to have. So I'm going to get this assault rifle blueprint, and then I'm going to get the child actor as we've done before, and then I'm going to cast to assault rifle blueprint. Okay, and then I'm going to there we go. So that's the transform one that we want, and it's the assault rifle that we're getting. The name of the socket we've seen before is just called muzzle flash, and that's actually on the mesh. You've got to make sure you spell it correctly, otherwise it won't work. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to play a particle system on the muzzle flash. Okay, so out of here we'll go spawn emitter at location. Okay, and the emitter we're going to choose should be in this list. Muzzle flash, assault rifle muzzle flash, and the location is going to be our socket. Okay, cool. Don't really need to stick anything in rotation for this particular particle system. So that should be working. Let's just test that out. Yep, and I'm holding the mouse button down and it's just replaying that for us, so that's cool. Okay, it'd be good if you had a flamethrower or something like that you could make it from that as well. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to spawn our projectile. Okay, so this one we're going to need a special spawning system. So we're going to spawn an actor because we've made this as a blueprint. So spawn actor from class. Okay. So let's go and grab the projectile that we made earlier, assault rifle projectile. And we're going to need to put something into our spawn transform. Okay, and you'll see why in a second. In fact, I'll just show you this real quick because it's okay. It's going to be funny. Okay, so let's just say we want to get the socket location for now. Let's play this and I'll show you what I mean. So something we forgot to set up in our projectile is we didn't set the speed of the projectile, so it's just falling out of the weapon there. So I'm glad you saw that. Gives me a chance to show you how to set our projectile up properly. So if we go to weapons, I think it was. Okay, so if we open up our assault rifle projectile, there's something I forgot to set up. So if we go over to components and the projectile movement tab, this bit is crucial. So initial speed should be 10,000, and that should be 10,000 as well. It's just going to be flying out really quickly. Okay, so save that. Now when we play, we should see that's fixed. Yep, and it's flying out of our weapon. Trouble is, when we turn, it's not updating the rotation of the player, which is what we'll do next. Okay, so if we go back to our, actually, let's go back here. So we need to update this position based on the player's rotation. So if we right click and say get character, get player character, and then this one is crucial. We need to get rotation. I'm going to turn that off and try and find it this way. So there's a couple of these to choose from, but the one you're looking for is transformation. Get actor rotation. Okay, next let's get the socket location again, and this time we want to break or make transform. Okay, cool, so that's kind of doing what that's doing, but it's going to allow us to put in our rotation of our player, add it to the location of the socket, and then update our projectile. Okay, let's see if that works. Yep, okay, so we're firing bullets. Pretty cool. Okay, so that's working. So now let's set up our line trace system. So basically this is going to kind of mirror our projectile in the sense that it's going to send out a line from the muzzle flash out into the world, and then it's going to read whatever physical material has been impacted. So if we just drag this off and go single line trace by channel. Now if we look down here, we've got a start position and end position. That's going to be the start position of our trace and the end position of our trace, so a line. So the start position of our trace stands to reason that we're going to want to use our muzzle flash. Okay, and the end position, we're going to want to get the forward vector of the player, just like we have done over here. So let's get forward vector. And then let's get the forward vector of the actor rotation. Okay, and then let's, because we need to draw a line at the moment, it's just going to be on the same point from the muzzle flash, so we need to extend this. So we need to multiply this. Yeah, so vector times float. So let's multiply this by, this is going to be our distance for our line trace. Good old distance, doesn't really matter how long at this point. So I've got 50,000 there. That should be fine. And then I'm going to add the two vectors together and then put that in to our end position. Cool. So let's see if that works. Before we do that, let's debug this so we can actually see this in action. So for the duration I want to pick, okay, that's fine. So let's compile that and save it. And then let's play. Okay, so press 1. Yeah, you can see the line trace working there, and it's updating based on our rotation. Cool. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is set up our physical materials. So basically, when we hit an object, we can actually see the hit results if we go break hit results. And this gives us the location, it gives us the normal, the impact point, the physical materials, which we're going to use in a second, and other really useful stuff. Okay, but we haven't set up any physical materials yet, so let's do that. So I'll just compile it and save it, and then close it out. And then if you go over to the settings tab and then project settings, and if you scroll down to physics, scroll down some more, and then here you've got physical surface. Okay, I've already set up metal, wood, and stone for my materials there. Okay, so now that's set up, let's set up some physical materials. So if we go to physics and then physical material, I'm going to want one called metal, and then I'm going to want one called, stone, and then I want one called wood. Okay, so now those physical materials have been set up, I need to associate them with the materials. So if I go over to our starter content where I've got these in brick, we're going to need to just plug this in over here. I think we've done this before, but just do it again to reiterate. So stone goes in brick. Okay, so now we've set up those physical materials and associated them with the materials that we're going to be shooting at. We next need to get some sounds into our session, some bullet impacts. So I'll just jump into Pro Tools real quick and I'll show you my session. Okay, so if we have a quick look at the session, then you'll notice that I've got the bullet impacts all laid out and they're marked up. And I'm just applying a little bit of compression just to kind of, on some of the individual channels and on the groups, just to kind of get a consistent level between them all. And then once I've bounced them out, I'm normalizing them in Audacity to -6 dB because it's a lot quicker. So if we have a look at the naming convention of these, I'm bouncing them out at CD quality as well just for ease, and they're all mono sounds. Okay, so if I just show you these sounds in the library real quick, you'll notice that I'm appending them all with A to denote audio, what it is, what material it is, and what it's actually intended for, and then I'm just numbering each sound. I've also separated out the ricochets as well for some of the materials. Okay, so let's jump back into Unreal Engine and let's import these sounds. Okay, first things first, let's stay organized by creating a new folder, and we'll call this Bullet Impacts. Okay, so let's put all of our bullet impacts in here. So if I just navigate to my library 1 second. Okay, so this is as simple as dragging and dropping. You want to kind of wait until you get that little plus symbol and then drop them. Okay, so there's all of our sounds in there. I've exported the ricochets out as stereo sounds just to kind of jazz it up a little bit. So let's go ahead and create some sound cues. So I'm not going to bore you with this. I don't think you've seen how to put a sound cue before. So let's make some sound cues for our bullet impacts. Now I'm not going to bore you and make 3 different sets of sound cues for each impact, so I'm going to whiz the video on. Okay, so I'm done with that. Just to show you real quick, I've just simply set up a random for each bullet impact and a modulator. I'm also attenuating them as well and spatializing these mono sources. So I've left the ricochets for each impact because they are stereo. I've left them out of these sound cues because you can't spatialize a stereo sound. It just doesn't make sense and it's a waste of resources. So that's that. Now we've got our bullet impact set up, we can then go back to our ASP character blueprint and we can start setting this up. So we need to get the surface type from this hit. So every time it hits, it's going to tell us which surface it's selected. So if I go surface and then get surface type, remember that dark green is kind of like an enumeration switch that we worked with earlier for our weapons equipment system. We can drag this off and get the surface type. So we can go switch on E physical surface. Now you should see your physical surfaces that you set up in your project settings appear here. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this up. Now there's something I learned the other day, is that you need to actually have a true false branch in here in order for your line trace to work properly. Otherwise it's just going to keep hitting the last hit location, and when you move around and shoot and aim, it's just going to be hitting the same location that it last hit. So you need to utilize this system off the back of this line trace in order for it to update properly. Okay, so if it's true and it hits something, it's going to play one of our sounds. So each one of these, we need to get a play sound at location for each. Okay, and then it kind of stands to reason that we're going to need to copy a few of these. So wood goes in there, and stone's going to go in there. And I'm going to set up our, where is it? Let's just type impact in here just to make it easy for us. So metal bullet impact there, and the wood one in here, brick one in there. Okay, now that's set up, we need to give it a location. Okay, so we could use the impact point, but I'm going to use the location for each of these. So cool. So that's set up. Now, hopefully, let's just have a look at this. There's something I have forgotten to do, and it's a bit silly, but I have forgotten to put a sound in for our weapon. So let's do that. Let's put another play sound at location in here, and then feed it in there, and then pick our assault rifle. So this is just a single shot at this point in time, and if it's a fully automatic weapon, I should be using a loop, but I'm going to show you some optimization stuff later. So the reason why I'm selecting a mono sound for now is it will become clear later. So yeah, update the location from the muzzle flash, and then hopefully it should all work. Hey, okay, and you start some audio problems that are occurring here, but let's just see if them impacts work. Okay, so the reason why those physical impacts aren't working is because I've forgotten to do something. So you need to create an association with your physical materials and the physical materials you've set up in your project settings. So if you open up each one and then set the physical surface type to metal, stone, and wood. Okay, so now we'll just save all. Okay. Cool. Okay, so to put the polish on this then, let's go back to our ASP character and let's spawn, spawn a particle emitter at the location of the impact point. And the asset I'm going to choose is, I think I've only got one impact here in this pack, but there we go, that emitter one there. And the location is going to be the location of the impact point. And the rotation is important as well, because if we didn't plug anything into the rotation, the impact emitter would fire off behind the surface that I've got set up. So what you need to do is just take the normal and feed it into the rotation, and that will rotate your particle for you. Okay, so I'm just going to feed in all of these because I've only got one actual impact particle system for that. So let's now jump in and try again. Okay, so that's working nice. Okay, there's one more thing I want to show you before I wrap up the tutorial. So if we hit the tilde key and type stat audio. Now, when I'm shooting, remember we've got a timer that's firing every 0.1 of a second to replay our bullets. If I shoot this, just look at the active sounds in the counters there. I've got a max of 26 I'm allowed. Now, I don't know if you can hear that on the stream, but you can see I've got max there. That's no good. It's actually calling back too many sounds for us, and we're losing a couple of our assault rifle sounds as we kind of exceed the maximum. Okay, so the next one we'll be looking at some techniques for audio optimization. So we'll be fixing this problem that we've got in front of us right now, and that kind of wraps up the tutorial for now. If you liked the tutorial, don't forget to hit the like button and stay subscribed for future tutorials, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks guys, thanks for watching.